Alex at Corumdale Farm. So today I am planting out all of my tomatoes in the raised garden. I have, I think, 24 or 28 tomatoes, and I'm super excited about it. And the best part about it is I got them all for free. So when we moved in March, so I just didn't have time or space to start tomatoes from seed. I'm hoping to do that next season, but this year I didn't. And I checked some of the big box stores and I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy what they were charging for a lot of tomato starts. So I reached out on Facebook, and there were some other moms in the area that have their own homesteads that started their tomatoes, and they had extra. Their seeds did really well, but they ran out of space in their garden. And so I got to be the recipient of their extras. And that's how I ended up with this 28, which is just such a blessing and so awesome. So before we plant and before we show you the trellising system that we are going to be using in the 2 beds, which is called the Florida weave method, I thought I'd quickly go over what I am growing. Now, like I said, because they're free, you can't look a gift horse in the mouth. So I can't be super picky about what I got, but I think I got some good stuff. The only thing I'm a little bit short on preferentially is paste tomatoes for canning sauces and whatnot. But I've got tons of slicers, which my husband loves, and it's going to be really great to eat fresh and also to use for salsas and whatnot. So speaking of paste tomatoes, I have 4 Beaver Lodge paste tomatoes, which I'm excited to grow. I've got 2 Amana Orange, which is fun. It's always fun to have a tomato that ends up being a different color than your standard red. I've got 2 Sweetheart Cherries, a black cherry, a pink Brandywine, which I'm excited to see if it really is more of a pinkish tone, pink Brandywine. I've got 2 Beaver Lodge slicers. So I guess Beaver Lodge is a variety that has a paste and a slicer tomato. Park's Whopper, which is super fun. This is my favorite. It is called Pomodoro Squishy Toe, and I need to grow it. I need to see the Squishy Toe tomato. I've got Cherokee Carbon. Cherokee is a very popular tomato in Oklahoma. I constantly hear people talking about Cherokee tomatoes. So I've got the Carbon variety. I've got 6 Celebrity tomatoes. Celebrity is a really popular one that you can get at like Lowe's and Ace. And then a Big Beef and a Big Boy. So this is what I'm going to be growing. I've got my labels, and I'm going to try to plan out where I'm going to put them. I've got 2 long beds, each are going to have 10, and then the extras, I'm just going to pop them in empty spaces around the garden. I might have one of the cherries climb up my cattle panel fence, because then I already have built-in trellising, and we'll kind of have to audible on these extra overflow, but really focus here on the 20 in the beds and how we're going to use the Florida weave trellis to keep them upright, disease-free, hopefully bug-free, and producing fantastic tomatoes all season long. So let me show you. This bed's done. these 2 long beds. They are 3 by 10 each. I got 12 and 12. I aimed for 18-inch spacing. Some of them might have gotten a little closer to 16 inches. 18 inches to 24 inches is really what you want for a tomato. Those that are closer throughout the season, I'm gonna make sure they're really trimmed up and they don't get too bushy, because when they get that bushy, that's when you run into the potential for disease issues because the air circulation isn't doing what it should. So I think it's gonna be okay having 12 and 12. Now it's time to trellis, because these bad boys cannot be left to their own devices or it will be a disaster, which is what I did last season, and it was a disaster. So I have here a husband size T-post. It is 6.5 feet tall. I am going to be putting, well, my husband's going to be putting in 2 and 2, and then we're going to use a tall wooden stake in the middle for our support structure for our Florida weave, which is a twine that we're going to be weaving through that I'll show you how to do. So let's get these pounded into the ground and secured in the beds. The T-posts are in. I should have mentioned when I originally talked about them that these are obviously not green. So I thought it'd be a fun opportunity, since it's going in the nicer raised garden area, to add another pop of color in the space and not just have plain old green and white T-posts. So I spray painted them like a Provence yellow, like a butter yellow, that I thought would complement the blue really nice and would contrast with the tomato green leaves. So that's why these are yellow. Totally preferential choice. When we lived in Albuquerque, I remember driving by down by the river, and there was a vineyard, a grape vineyard, and they had spray painted their T-posts like the prettiest fuchsia purple. So that's where I got the idea. I thought that was a fun way to add even extra color, kind of fancy, to your garden space. So mine are yellow. Now we are going to actually do the weave now that the support is in place. I am using a nylon twine that I got from Lowe's. You could use like a natural fiber twine. I just read that in the heat and the rain and the wet, dry, it can start to fray and pull apart. And I thought the last thing I want to do is be redoing this weave in July or August if the elements have really torn apart a natural twine. But it might work. I chose nylon. I was at Lowe's and got nylon. One thing we did add is in the middle of our 10-foot run, we added these wooden posts. Ideally, you just have T-posts. Again, I was tired of going to Lowe's. I want to get this project done, and we had these in the shed, so I am using them. But you could even do like a bamboo cane even, just as a way to break up the halfway point to add even more structure to our tomatoes. So I'm going to bring you in closer to show you exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm going to, flying spider, I am going to affix this to the main support post, and then I'm going to be weaving, that's why it's called the Florida weave, back and behind all of the tomatoes, and then come back around and do it again. And the tomato is going to be through, see if I can show you, it's going to be through a loop. Watch this. I am the tomato. Through a loop, and it's going to give it tension so it can't go forward or back or side to side. So I'll zoom you in though so you can see exactly what we're doing. Okay, so it's tight here, and we're going to start our weave. So I'm going to start on this side. I'm going to go down low so I know that when I come back the other direction, I'm really going to be able to get him in. So I'm going to go on this side, and then I'm going to cross. I'm going to get him on this side. See how I've gone this side and that side, and I'm going to repeat. Make sure I get a chunky part of him. Then this is where it gets a little tricky. I need to get on this side of you. Okay, so I've crossed, and it's okay that it's not actually touching right now. We just need them to be in between the two strings when I come back the other direction. So here we are at our center. I'm holding tension on it. If I were to lose tension, it kind of defeats the purpose of this being a support. Here we go. Okay, good. All right, now I'm going to keep going. Same concept. I'll just go around this way of this guy, and I only got two here. So this way of this guy, I could have planted a tomato right there, but didn't have one. So make sure I got my, what's it called, Eric? Ah, I lost my tension. Okay, so once I get it tied around, when I come back, I'm going the opposite direction. So Eric, come close here to show where the cross is going to occur, the most important part of the weave.
I'm right on you.
Okay, forgot about the concept of zoom. So this is on this side. So I need to cross to come around on this side. Let me show you. All right, so here we go. So see, he's crossed here, and so he can't fall to each side. So this is exactly what the Florida weave is. So I've crossed. Now I come this way, get under so he's got good structure, cross, hold the tension, make sure, and you can go in once you're tight and you can help weave them through. It's not like you've got one shot at this and all is lost if you don't get it. Okay, so I've got this, and now I'm coming back. Hold on. I'm out of control here. My twine, Eric. Look at this. This is not good cord management. Okay, got my cross here. So I'm checking. It's on this side, so I need to start this way. I cross to this way. And I'll go back through at the end and make sure everyone stayed in their spot. This way. This way. Don't create a knot. And we're back. So this is all the levels I can do right now because my tomatoes are little weenie guys. If you bought larger tomatoes at the store, you might be able to go do another level. But that's exactly what's going to happen all season. As this guy grows another 6 inches, I'm going to start another level. And it's going to go all the way up as much as I need trellising. I like this idea because then I don't have to put in a big bulky tomato cage with a wee little runt tomato. My trellis can grow with the tomatoes as they need the support structure. So I'm going to get this tied off tight, cut, and do the other ones. Here we go. All the tomatoes are weaved. So like I said earlier, some of them are just a little too tiny to really benefit from this, but I still cross them so that when they do grow tall enough, I can just pop them through the supporting trellis that's already waiting for them. Some of them were the perfect height for this first level and they went in great. I think it's also helpful right now because they are going to suffer from transplant shock. So some of them are just going to kind of like flop over and want to play dead. And so this will help keep them nice and upright while they're being dramatic and while they root in and everything. And so probably I'm thinking in about 2 or 3 weeks, depending on our weather and how they're acclimating, I'm going to be ready to do the next row. And it's just going to keep growing. These are all indeterminate tomatoes, which means they're just going to keep on growing until frost. So throughout the season, I'm going to commit to stay on top of them. That's one of the things that you need to commit to with the Florida weave, is that there's a progression of maintenance. It's not just one and done. But I'm excited to try this method this year, and I'm really loving the pop of yellow that these T-posts brought to the garden. So let me show you a zoomed out picture and come back in the next video. That's what you should call me. You should call me One Cut Carrot.